Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look back on another very historic day in the past 5 years for July weather. We have a look back at the 25th of July 2019. A day that's pretty overshadowed now by the 40 degrees that we saw last year that we explored in yesterday's video. But this was a record-breaking day as we did break the all-time temperature record, only lasted for 3 years. But not only did we see scorching temperatures, but we saw huge thunderstorms in the evening as well, making it really potentially a all-time best sort of classic summery day. So we'll have a look at some of the data for the temperatures. We'll have a look at some of the lightning data as well, and those thunderstorms. Looking at some of the data for what the models were showing at the time. Now, this heatwave was exceptionally short, really only lasting a day or two, and on the 25th we did break that all-time temperature record. One day we reached 35 or 36 degrees, but locally in Cambridge we reached 38.7 degrees, breaking the previous all-time temperature record by 0.2 degrees, which was 38.5 degrees from Faversham in the 10th of August 2003, so a good 16 years prior. So we did have quite a long wait, and then only 3 years after that did we break it once again. Many other stations did exceed 37 degrees and a couple broke 38. So it was very much a localised breaking of that temperature record, not smashing it like we did last year in a wide area. It was quite a local breaking of that temperature. But it could have gone higher, and we'll explain why. We could have even reached the 39 degree point in a little bit. But if we do start on the GFS reanalysis, we can see the setup. If we do go back a couple slides here, we do see the setup on Sunday the 21st. A westerly flow, doesn't really look like much is going on. We'll go through the pressure and then we'll put those temperatures on. Now you can see the low pressure does gather out in the Atlantic, and we start to see high pressure build to our east as southerly flow starts to move in. And then a low pressure system dives even further southwards on the 25th, and we see a direct southerly, a huge Spanish plume with the 20 degree isotherm roaring our way. But very quickly, to the 26th, we're into much cooler air, and on that transition overnight 25th into 26th, that is when we see those huge thunderstorms in the east. Not only some massive French imports, but also some homegrown storms as well. For eventually, we go into more of a westerly flow and see plenty of unsettled weather in the days following it. Now, if you run back and put on the upper air temperatures, again starting on the 21st, we're in remarkable air, actually colder than average air mass, for it does increase quite significantly into the Monday. The Tuesday starts to rise to around the 15 degree isotherm, starting to get probably to around that low 30 degree mark, even higher on the Wednesday, the 20 degree isotherm moving in, and finally, as we reach the Thursday, it is exceptionally hot, with not only the upper air temperatures reaching their peak, but the upper air temperatures had been around for a couple of days, allowing that heat to really build. So you can see the proper hot air really only arrives from Tuesday into Wednesday, and then probably establishes itself Wednesday to Thursday before getting pushed away overnight to Friday. So that's the Friday value at midnight. You can see that temperature contrast from the eastern areas in the 20 degree isotherm to western areas below the 10 degree isotherm, and that huge temperature contrast fueled those thunderstorms. And then into the weekend, we're into cooler than average air as the westerly flows return. Now, if you go over to some of the data looking here. Now, I found it very difficult to find some satellite images and some live radar, historic live radar, free to access. But the Met Office have got a very interesting page where they do have a look at a lot of historic events, so do check that out. It's on the Met Office Learn About Weather section, and they've got a whole article on this event, but I do want to just grab a few images as they're not freely available on other sites. Now this is the satellite image from the 25th 2019, and you can see here That's what I was going to say. Why it could have reached 39 degrees is because we did see some cloud bubbling up. That instability that brought thunderstorms into the evening, there was huge uncertainty how quickly the cloud would bubble. We knew the thunderstorms were coming in the evening, but was that cloud going to impact the peak daylight hours from around that 2 to 4 p.m. point when we generally see the hottest temperatures of the day? And unfortunately, it did. And that basically meant that these bits of cloud prohibited temperatures, especially to the south and towards the London region. That's where the best temperatures up towards Cambridge, just on the periphery of this cloud, and it did halt the temperatures elsewhere. So not only did it probably stop us reaching 39 degrees, but it also stopped it widely getting higher than around 35, 36. Nevertheless, it was extremely hot, just not quite as hot as it would have been if it was completely clear skies. Now you can see the big weather front out to the west is the dividing line between the cool air, and typically just ahead of that weather front you see the big thunderstorms popping off, and you can see this is quite an early image, and you can already see a big cumulonimbus cloud popping off just across northern France before it does head northwards. And you can see lower down, this is the precipitation radar from around 8 p.m. So we did see a few thunderstorms in the west, but it was mainly eastern regions got smashed by some homegrown storms and some French imports. We can also scroll down, got another very good image of the daily max temperatures. You can see widely 36, 37, the peak of 38.1. So you can see the 38.1 there in the Cambridge station, but we reached 38.5 in the Cambridge Botanical Garden. There was a bit of controversy at the time because the Cambridge Botanical Garden is an official Met Office station. That's why it's not appearing here. The Cambridge site is, but the Cambridge Botanical Garden got 0.4 degree higher. It got ratified, and there was a bit of uncertainty on the day because at an official Met Office station, we hadn't broken the record, but at the Cambridge Botanical Garden, we did reach that 38.7, and it was officially rectified a few weeks later. So on the day, it was very uncertain. But you see widely 36, 37, and even in the west, seeing high 20s and low 30s, pretty much everywhere, extremely hot. Now, if you go over to Meteo Seal, it is difficult to find some archive data back from 2019. A lot of the models have upgraded, and some of their data isn't freely available. But the Arpège run still has a lot of data, short range, high resolution model. And we're able to have a look at the Cape values for the 25th of July. Now you can see the Cape increases significantly from around lunchtime onwards, but it was really during the latter part of the afternoon, around the 5-6 p.m. point, where the thunderstorms ignited. We see very high levels of Cape starting to build in even by 3 p.m. But look what happens around the 6-7 p.m. point. Cape explodes, and we see huge thunderstorms taking off before it all diminishes. This is all ahead of the weather front. Now, if you look at the precipitation for this, again, you can see a few showers in the west during the day, and we did see a couple of thunderstorms break out across the northwest of England, for we did see a few homegrown storms during the early evening, and then big French imports combining with homegrown storms through the latter part of the evening, spreading northwards and then setting quite an unsettled trend for the following days. Very, very explosive day we saw there. And if we do finish, we can have a look at the lightning data for this. Now, this is starting at midday on the 25th, and you can see just off the shore we did have a small thunderstorm just off the coast of East Anglia, but just watch how this does explode. Now, as we spread through at lunchtime, we see small ignition across South Wales. We see a couple of thunderstorms breaking out there, maybe just to the north of London, a lightning strike. But as I said, parts of Wales up towards northwest England, we saw a few isolated thunderstorms break out in the afternoon, but nothing really further eastwards. But you can see a few French thunderstorms breaking out. That's that cell we actually saw on the satellite data from the Met Office page, and that is heading northwards, and that's really going to be the spawning ground of the rest of the storms. You can see the storm across northwest England really was quite explosive through the afternoon. Big lightning strikes here, all forming into a line across a long period of time, meaning it is an extremely active system. And those storms just continue through the afternoon, and then you see storms starting to encroach on the southeast. A very active system here, and it just explodes into action around the 5-6 p.m. point. The storms continue through northern England, spreading northwards, and then the main epicenter of storm activity becomes that southeast corner. Huge storms just to the north of London, homegrown storms popping off, and then also the French imports coming in from the southeast, producing an absolute light show. A few thunderstorms off the coast of the Republic of Ireland, and still a few lightning strikes in the remnants of those storms that started across southwest England through the north and really took off in the northwest all the way to southern Scotland. And this is around 9 p.m. now, so we're starting to get towards sunset, and you can see all this white, which is storm which is lightning strikes that had occurred in the last 20 minutes. Huge activity. And that just continues all the way through. And you can see on the top right corner, we do have the overall strikes in the past 2 hours here. And you can see, as of just around 9 p.m, we had 21,812 lightning strikes in the prior 2 hours. That is ridiculous amounts of lightning strikes. That is around 200 every single minute on this whole image here. So yeah, huge amount of lightning strikes occurring, and it does start to diminish, especially towards the southeast by around 9-10 p.m. But those storms are really active off the coast of East Anglia, creating an amazing light show for many coastal regions as those storms head off into the North Sea and slowly dissipate. Even around the midnight point, we saw a few more storms ignite in the southeast. Again, nothing hugely active either, but nevertheless, some big storms breaking out before eventually we head to the overnight hours and things do start to diminish, but still seeing a few active storms even overnight for central, northern regions, southeastern regions. Still some whites appearing here, seeing some more storms ignite overnight, and even to the early hours, seeing more French imports in the far southeast. So yes, the huge cluster of storms has dissipated, but still seeing some of these pop-up storms head up from the south, creating more lightning strikes, creating really lively night in many areas. And yeah, just continuation of storms all the way into the morning hours. And as we head through the 26th, you can see slowly that storm activity does dissipate, but we've got this one cell that keeps going through the London area northwards, but does slowly die out as we head through the 26th, and a lot of that hot air and instability has slowly shifted away. A few isolated lightning strikes across East Anglia in the few storms, but you can see all that energy is transferred further northwards and eastwards by the afternoon of the 26th, and all that thunderstorm activity has slowly dissipated. But really, a very historic day that's now going to get overshadowed by July 2022 with the 40 degrees. But with the thunderstorms we saw that day and the record break temperatures, this could be really in the running for one of the best sort of proper summer-like days. We saw completely furnace-like conditions, and then we saw the huge thundery breakdown through the evening with massive lightning strikes, or massive number of lightning strikes, and huge amounts of rainfall in places as well. A very interesting day. As I said, it probably will be overshadowed. Some of you will probably remember this, but it was our previous all-time temperature record, followed up by a hugely thundery evening. I do remember seeing images of people taking pictures out across the North Sea, and it was an absolute light show. Very interesting to see if we'll see another day like this. We get the thunderstorms, we do still get very hot conditions. We haven't really seen it too much this summer, but will we see them all sort of culminate in one day like we did back in 2019? We will have to see. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. I'll see you again for another video soon.